Hi, welcome to this video on label reading. I am Dave Barkley, one of the kinesiologists here at the Cardiovascular Prevention and Rehabilitation Program at Southlake Health. So what we're going to be talking about today is we're going to look at different types of nutrition information that is on a food label. So we definitely look at the nutrition facts table, which is what we mainly think of on this topic, but there's also the ingredients list where you can get some good information, and nutrient claims that you might see on the front of a package and information. We'll look at how to use the nutrition facts panel to choose healthy foods, and look at different ways to use that information as well. So this is all the different types of information that you can get off of a package. Some of it better than others, but all will be there. So we do like to discuss all of it. So you will see in terms of nutrition claims, nutrient content claims. So as you can see on this package, something like no sugar added, and they can be related to any nutrient as well. So we'll look at some different ones that you might see. They're not necessarily the most useful, and we wouldn't really recommend shopping based on those nutrient content claims, but it can be a way to narrow options down for you. Then health claims, that's a claim that you might see on the front of a package that's related to a nutrient or an ingredient that's in a product, and then a health claim based on that. Again, not the most useful because it doesn't necessarily mean that eat a lot of this product and you'll have that effect. But you will see them on there. We don't really recommend shopping based on those. Then we have the nutrition facts table, which is really the best place to get very specific information on a product. So we'll definitely be speaking mostly on that. But you can get really good information from the ingredients list as well. And it's good to know exactly what's in a product and go through that. And sometimes it gives some clarity to the nutrition facts table as well, to know where some of these nutrients are coming from. So here's some other nutrition claims that you might see. So you can see on the box there, reduced fat, usually in big letters, kind of highlighted on a product. So related to fat, you might see light, low fat, half the fat, reduced fat, calorie-wise or fat-free. Specific to trans fat, there's trans fat free, no trans fat, zero trans fat, or zero trans. Other with sugar, like no sugar added or unsweetened. With salt, unsalted, no salt added, zero sodium, things like that. So again, not something that you want to rely on and just grab something and assume it's healthy because of that claim. But it can be a way to narrow things down. Say you are looking to buy crackers and you're standing in the grocery store in front of the wall of different options. It can help you to maybe narrow down what might be the better choices. If you're looking for something lower calorie, lower fat, lower salt, you might be able to see what those are. But we still recommend take those products, flip them over, and look at the back at the nutrition facts table to get the more specific information. So we'll start at the nutrition facts table, and there's a couple different ways to get information off of this, but no matter what, the first place you want to look is at the serving size. So it's always right at the top where you see the red arrow there, and that is the specific amount of food that all the nutrition info is based off of. So to really give context to all the other numbers, you want to look there first to know exactly how much of the product is based on. It is regulated, like it can't be crazy. They can't say like on a box of cereal per tablespoon, but there is some range, and it's important even looking across different products of the same type to still check the serving size on each one to gauge the what exactly you're getting. For example, on sliced bread, you might see some that are per one slice, others that are per two slices. So if it is per one slice and you're going to be having sandwiches with it and using two slices, you might want to multiply it by two, especially when comparing it to another bread that is already the per two slices. So always look there first, no matter what, to give context to the rest of the information. And then from there, as you look down lower, you see on the right, there's the percent daily value. And then to the left, kind of beside the nutrient names, there's the actual grams or milligrams of each nutrient. So there are two different places to get information, but they're both useful in different ways. So we'll talk first about the percent daily value. Now, even though it's called percent daily value, we don't really recommend using it as that and trying to add each nutrient up to 100% every day. The reason for that is it's not necessarily based on like what we would consider a heart healthy diet in our program here. And we're all individuals. You might have different targets and things that your doctor has suggested or whatnot. And anytime you take a large population of people and try to give everyone the same recommendation, it just doesn't work as well. So the average person, that might be okay, but some people need more of certain nutrients or more calories in a day, and other people would need less. But the way this is useful is it's a very quick way to know if there's a lot or a little of a nutrient. So basically 5% or less, no matter where you're looking, is considered a small amount. So for things like fat, cholesterol, sodium, things we're looking to have a bit less of, if more of the time you see that those numbers are 5% or less, that's a good choice. So we consider that like a choose daily. Anything 15% or higher is considered a high amount. So on things like fat, cholesterol, sodium, you want to avoid those if you can. But for positive things, fiber, calcium, vitamins, that's a great number. If most of those are above 15%, it's good at least for those nutrients. Then in between, the kind of the 5 to 15% or 10 to 15%, kind of choose occasionally. So if some products are within that, okay, but not something you want to choose daily necessarily. The one weakness of the percent daily value is the saturated fat and the trans fat numbers are grouped into one. So with that, 10% or less is what you consider a small number because it is two numbers in one. But we'll look and break down with the grams on the left how you can give them different targets. So that is the one weakness, but it is a great option. They all have the same targets. 5% or less is small, 15% or more is high. You can quickly look down an entire nutrition facts table and know what's high, what's low, what's medium. But then if you look over to the left, to the actual grams and milligrams, you can get a lot more specific information. So that is the positive. So now like saturated fat and trans fat are separated. The downside though is that everything is going to have its own different target. So in our education workbook here, you will see all those targets in there. So you can look under the label reading page and get these. Now that we can separate saturated fat and trans fats, saturated fat 2 grams or less is considered a small amount. So that's in that choose daily territory. Trans fat is the one thing we're looking to eliminate if possible. So always looking for zero trans is the best option. And the reason for that is like it's generally found in processed foods. Trans fat are kind of more man-made. And has been shown to directly negatively impact your health and cholesterol. So we're looking to avoid those, usually again found in processed foods or kind of boxed baked goods. They can be as well, so it's a good thing to check. As we move down lower into sodium, 0 to 120 milligrams is considered a small amount, so that's okay. If most of what you're having is within that, you're likely doing pretty good. 120 to 360 milligrams, we say caution. So again, some products fine, but not most of the things that you buy within that. And then over 360 milligrams is considered a high amount. So when possible, avoiding things that are that high would be a good target for that. And then as we move further down into the carbohydrates, so for fibers again is very good. We want to get lots of fiber in cereals because you can generally find higher fiber cereals. 4 grams or more is a great target for that. And then for other products, 2 grams or more is considered a good amount of fiber. And then with sugar, 9 grams or less would be a good target for that. One thing to note when you're reading these labels for example, with carbohydrates and also with fat, is you might notice that for example, in fat, the saturated fat and trans fat numbers don't add up to what the total fat would be. It does on this label, it's just that this is a sample that we use. But the reason for that is because there's other types of fat that aren't highlighted. So the saturated fat and trans fat, basically always find highlighted. But there's also unsaturated fats that would account for the difference there. All right, so that's the targets on the nutrition facts table. Now the ingredients list. So this is a great place to get information about what's actually in your product and can add some clarity to the nutrition facts table as well. Like if you notice you're kind of surprised something is very high in fat, you can look at the nutrition facts table and see where that fat might be coming from. Or same thing with sugar and salt. So these are ingredients to watch out for, not necessarily all to completely avoid, but just to, they are sources of certain nutrients. So if you notice that something is quite high in saturated fat, that top line there, butter, lard, tallow, coconut oil, palm, and palm kernel oil, would all be sources of that saturated fat. With trans fats, it's that word hydrogenated is really what you're looking out for. If you see on the ingredients list hydrogenated vegetable oil, partially hydrogenated vegetable oil, or anything hydrogenated, and or shortening, those can also be sources of trans fat. One important note with that actually is that it is possible that something can say 0 trans fat, but then actually still have trans fat in it. And the reason for that, if something is a very low number, they can technically say 0. So there might be a very small amount, but it can still be in there. So if you look at the ingredients list and see hydrogenated, but the trans fat says 0, it means there is some in there. It's just a small amount. Source of sugar can be, of course, sugar, honey, syrup, high fructose corn syrup, or HFCS, or glucose fructose. I think you might see there. And then sources of sodium would be salt, sodium, brine, MSG, monosodium glutamate, or baking soda, baking powder as well would be sources of sodium. With the ingredients list, it is ordered in kind of descending order. So whatever is first on the list is what there's the most of. Whatever's last on the list is what there's the least of, and it goes down from there. Dairy products are a bit different. They do still have the usual labels that you expect. But they also on the very front have the milk fat percentage. So that you can use that as a different target. We think about it more with milk, like 1% milk, 2% milk. So with that, with milk and yogurt, you can actually aim for 2% would be a good spot to be. So you don't have to go to skim. Cream cheese, cottage cheese, same thing, 2%. And something like hard cheeses, if you can find less than 20% or equal to or less than 20% is a good option if you're having it, especially if you're having it consistently. As you can see on this slide, very small, it says 35% milk fat. So that would be considered a high fat cheese, but that's where you would find it, right on the front of the package. And then other labels you might see on products, if you're looking for organic products, that Canada Organic would be the good option to look for, and that indicates that product has been shown to I believe it's 95% organic content based on the Canadian regulations. There's the USDA organic, if it's a US product you might see. If you're looking for non-GMO products, you can look for that label there. Or for whole grains, if you see 100% whole grain, that means that all the grains that are within that product are whole grains. So you might see those on there just for your information if you're wondering what those are, or if you're looking for those types of products, you can look for those. So that is our talk on label reading. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out at cardiacrehab@southlake.ca for our general program email. If you are in the program currently, feel free to reach out to your kinesiologist, and if you have any questions about the talk as well. But again, I'm Dave Barkley, one of the kinesiologists here at the Southlake Health Cardiovascular Prevention and Rehabilitation Program. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope you enjoyed it.